Hello, my friend. My name is Peggy. I'm very glad you're listening to my story. At 91 years old, I often hear my old friends sigh and say, "Peggy, why do the nights feel so long?" They're afraid of that moment when they lie down in bed, but their minds keep running, like a restless child who refuses to stand still. The sound of the clock ticking, tick, tick. Each beat feels like a small hammer tapping against the heart. Why has sleep become such a luxury? Is it because we are exhausted by a modern life filled with constant noise? Or is it because, as we grow older, we're afraid that if we close our eyes, we might lose something? So many people rush toward little pills, blue ones, red ones, hoping they can switch off an overloaded brain. But you know this as well as I do. Medicine can force your body into drowsiness, but it cannot force your soul to feel at peace. There is a very big difference between sleeping from exhaustion and sleeping from peace. When you sleep from exhaustion, it's like a broken machine that suddenly shuts down. You wake up still feeling heavy, drained, and worn out. But sleeping from peace, oh, it's like a golden leaf slowly drifting down onto a quiet autumn lake. So gentle, so soft. And when you wake, you feel as if you've been born once again. I am 91 years old, and I don't take a single sleeping pill, not because I possess any kind of magic, but because I've learned how to make peace with my daytime. Sleep is not something we should force or replace with chemicals. It is a reward, yes, a reward you earn for a day well lived, for a day in which you loved, and for a day in which you gently cleared away the clutter in your heart. Tonight, I want to share with you 8 small things I still do during the day, simple habits that help me sleep deeply until morning. We don't need medication. We only need to understand our own bodies a little better. Are you ready? Take a small sip of tea and let's begin this journey back to peaceful nights. You know, the first secret to a good night's sleep actually begins with what you do the moment you open your eyes. Every morning after I've made myself a cup of tea, I have a small ritual I never skip. I pull my armchair close to the window, sit down, and let the early sunlight rest gently on my skin. These days, many younger people wake up and immediately reach for their phones, bathing themselves in that cold blue light. But I'm different. I choose the light of the sun. Why is sunlight so important? Imagine that deep inside our brains, we all carry a tiny clock. Sunlight is the only language that clock truly understands. When light reaches your eyes, it knocks and says, "Time to wake up." The countdown to bedtime has begun. Sitting there watching the sparrows fly to the feeder, writing down their little names in my notebook. That's not just a hobby of an old woman. It's how I'm charging tonight's sleep. Science calls it setting your circadian rhythm. I simply call it greeting life. If you want your body to feel naturally sleepy at night, then in the morning you must show it enough light. Open the curtains, or better yet, step out onto the balcony and breathe in that fresh air for at least 15 minutes. After waking my mind with light, I begin to wake up my body. At 91, I can no longer go jogging or do intense exercises, but I never allow myself to sit still in a chair for too long either. I often tell my grandchildren, don't let your body become a stagnant pond. You see, water in a lake, if it doesn't move, will eventually grow cloudy and stale. Our bodies are the same. If you sit in front of a computer or lie on the sofa all day, your circulation slows down. And that stagnation is exactly what creates those knots of anxiety in the mind at night. I move in my own way. I walk around the house, stretch a little, or simply wash the dishes by hand, water a few plants. When your legs move, the blood flows more freely. It carries oxygen to every corner of your body and gently sweeps away the mental debris along the way. My advice to you is very simple. Don't treat movement like a heavy chore. Think of it as a way of loving the flow within your body. A gentle walk after lunch, a few stretches when you get up. These small actions help release excess energy. When your body is moved regularly and kindly, your mind becomes less congested. And do you know the most wonderful part? A body that has been used wisely during the day will always long to be restored at night. Don't let yourself become a stagnant pond, my friend. Be a small stream, always moving, always alive. Have you ever wondered what makes an old woman like me wake up each morning with a sense of eagerness? It's not because I have grand projects or important meetings. It's because of Mildred. Mildred is my cat. She's 11 years old now, very picky and extremely punctual. Every morning at exactly 7:15, if I haven't brought her breakfast yet, she lets me know by gently scratching the blanket or letting out a few offended little sounds. You see, at this age, loneliness sometimes whispers in your ear, "Stay in bed a little longer. No one is waiting for you." But Mildred won't allow that. She needs me. And it's not just Mildred. The plants on my windowsill need me too. Every morning I take time to look at them, checking for a new leaf or a tiny sprout that might need a bit more water. Some people say, "Peggy, you must be bored to spend time on such little things." But I see it differently. When you care for another living thing, your own soul is watered as well. That feeling of being needed is a very powerful medicine. It keeps your mind from drifting into the heavy silence of an empty house. Let me explain a bit of the science behind it in the way an old woman understands it. When we feel anxious or alone, our bodies release something called cortisol. I like to call it the hormone of restlessness. It's like a strict guard, keeping you on constant alert. And as you know, how can we sleep deeply when that guard keeps knocking inside our heads? But when you touch the warm fur of a cat, or sink your hands into moist soil to plant something, your body releases gentler chemicals. The tension melts away. Cortisol levels fall. Caring for another living being pulls you out of those endless looping thoughts about yourself. Instead of asking, "Why can't I sleep?" you become busy asking, "How can I help this flower bloom at its very best?" Don't underestimate those small responsibilities. a pet, a tiny vegetable garden on the balcony, or even a bowl of clean water for the birds outside. These are anchors that keep your soul steady when life's waves grow rough. When you spend your daytime giving love to life, life repays you at night with a gentle, kind sleep, because then your mind knows it has completed the day's mission to nurture and to protect. Now take a quiet moment and ask yourself, is there a small, living being waiting for your care? When the sun reaches its highest point, our bodies naturally want to slow down. Many of my friends often complain, I couldn't sleep all night, so I have to catch up during the day. But then at night, I'm still wide awake. Do you know where the problem lies? Right there in those two words, catching up. There is a very big difference between catching up on sleep and simply resting. Catching up on sleep means trying to recover what was lost by taking a long nap in the afternoon, sometimes 2 or even 3 hours. When you wake up, your head feels foggy, and worse than that, you've stolen your appetite for sleep later that night. I nap too, of course, but I have one iron rule: 20 minutes. To me, 20 minutes is not a full sleep. It's a short news break that lets the body recharge. I usually set a timer, or sometimes I simply hold a set of keys in my hand. When I drift just deeply enough for my hand to relax, the keys fall to the floor with a clatter. That's my signal to wake up. 20 minutes is enough to refresh you, but not enough for your body to slip into deep sleep and throw off its natural rhythm. Think of your afternoon nap as a light snack, not a full meal, my friend. After my afternoon rest, I usually spend some time with my notebook. Have you ever felt like your mind is an old storage room filled with clutter? Unpaid bills, something someone said that hurt you, plans for tomorrow, they all pile up in there. You see, our brains were made to create and to feel, not to serve as warehouses for worry. If you carry that cluttered storage room into bed with you, how could you possibly sleep in peace? That's why I learned a technique I call writing in order to forget. Every afternoon, I sit down and pour everything that's running through my head onto the page. I write about what worries me, the things I need to do the next day, even small, lingering irritations. As the words appear on paper, I feel an invisible weight lift from my shoulders. I tell myself, everything is safely in the notebook now. My mind is clear and light. Don't take your worries to bed. Leave them on your desk. Pen and paper have a quiet magic when it comes to holding our worries for us. Managing the mind is much like tidying your home each day. Don't let worries pile up into a mountain. Take a short nap to restore your body and write a few lines to clear your soul. When your mind is clean and your body hasn't been overburdened by catching up on sleep, you create the perfect space for tonight's rest to return. Now try picking up a pen and see if there's something inside your mind that's ready to come out. As the sun begins to set, I start preparing my evening meal. You know, our stomach and our brain are close friends. They are always talking to each other. If you force your stomach to work overtime digesting a heavy, greasy meal late in the evening, It will complain to the brain. And when that happens, your brain can't possibly fall asleep because it's still busy running the digestive factory below. Since Harold passed away, I've changed the way I eat. I have dinner earlier now, and I choose very simple, gentle foods, a little warm soup, some boiled vegetables, or a small piece of fish. My advice to you is this: treat dinner as a ritual, not a task to get through. Don't eat while watching television or scrolling on your phone. Sit down, taste each bite, and feel grateful for the meal in front of you. When you eat calmly and at the right time, your body has enough time to finish digesting before you go to bed. A light stomach is the foundation of a dreamless, peaceful sleep. When dinner is over, the house begins to sink into stillness. Have you ever noticed how afraid we can be of silence? I see many people, whether they live alone or with family, constantly trying to fill every quiet space with sound. They turn the television up loud, scroll endlessly on their phones, or play noisy music, as if they're running away from something. The truth is, we fear silence because when everything becomes quiet, the voice inside our own minds finally begins to speak. Worries, unanswered questions, they become clearer. But my friend, don't run from it. Learn to make peace with silence. About 2 hours before bedtime, I start dimming the lights in my home. I turn off most electronic devices. The blue light from phones and televisions acts like a stimulant, tricking the brain into thinking it's still daytime. Instead, I let the darkness and the quiet slowly soak into me. Try this just once. Turn off most of the lights. Leave only a soft, warm lamp. Sit quietly in a chair and do nothing at all. Don't look at your phone. Let your eyes rest. Let your ears hear your own breathing. When you stop being afraid of the silence in the room, you'll stop being afraid of the silence of sleep as well. Think of silence as a gentle embrace after a long, tiring day. Dusk is the time when we release the outside world and return to ourselves. A light evening meal and a soul willing to welcome stillness become a beautiful bridge that carries you into the land of dreams. Darkness is not something to fear. It is simply Mother Nature's blanket being gently laid over us. Now come with me into the final moments of the day, where soft stories are waiting to guide you into restful sleep. You know, when we lie down in bed, that's when the brain begins to review the day. If you leave it unattended, it often starts digging up unfinished business, words that hurt you, or worries about the future. I call these negative thought streams, little weeds always waiting to grow in the garden of the mind. So instead of letting them take over, I choose to plant something good. Before drifting off, I often listen to gentle stories. They might be moral lessons about kindness, stories filled with beautiful memories from long ago, or simply words of gratitude for life itself. When you listen to meaningful things, your mind begins to vibrate at a more positive frequency. Heavy worries are slowly replaced by warmth and gratitude. I often lie there with my eyes closed and quietly say thank you. Thank you for a nourishing dinner. Thank you for Mildred still being healthy. Thank you for letting me see flowers bloom today. When you end your day with gratitude and kind stories, you're sending a peaceful signal to your nervous system. It understands. Everything is okay. It's time to rest now. Let those gentle words become a lullaby that carries you into sleep. And now, our conversation has come to a close, making space for your rest. Let your shoulders soften. Don't hold yourself so tightly anymore. Take a slow, deep breath. Feel the cool air fill your chest, and then gently exhale, releasing whatever worries remain. You did well today. You truly did. You deserve a deep and peaceful sleep. Good night, my friend. Let the darkness cradle you, and I'll see you again in the morning with a gentle smile waiting on your lips. Be well.